One station making history every day.
My sweet home, Chicago.
Now, John Cass.
89
Look, I'm a military pilot. One of the very first things I learned in pilot training is that your country will never leave you behind. And they say that, you know, if you go down behind enemy lines and find yourself in any kind of a tough situation, just know that your country will move heaven and earth to save. And so the question is, why did the administration not move heaven and earth to put F-16 fighter jets at Aviano overhead? They can do visual, recon, that have other even nonviolent methods they can do to disperse crowds. Why were the FAST teams, the diplomatic security teams, not dispatched? Why was the DOD not alerted? And frankly, another big question is, was the president aware of what's going on?
That was Congressman Adam Kinzinger this morning talking to Bruce and Dan. Thank gosh that he asked those questions, Lauren. Lauren Cohn, John Cass, 89 and WLS, we're taking your calls. 591-8900 while this ridiculous circus is taking place in Washington where Madam Clinton is spinning these people.
Well, it seems like once again, there's all this gaps in the timeline that we don't know about. We know a call from Ambassador Stevens, who was killed along with 3 other Americans, came in at 9:50, goes to someone in Tripoli, but we don't know what happened after that.
Right.
And in all the questioning, Hillary Clinton doesn't want to seem to answer. She seems more emotional, yelling, crying. I don't know what she's doing up there.
And we just saw while we were on the break, we're looking at it on the monitor, Senator Durbin, jowly, shaking his, oozing his suck-up charm there, telling her basically it wasn't her fault and it's all the whatever nonsense. He's blaming other people.
Well, and this is nonsense, John. Where are the people that were there? Where are the witnesses that were there? Where's the security guard that pulled Ambassador Stevens' body out when they went to the hospital? Why are we not talking to those people? Why can't the American people hear from them?
Listeners from the 9 to 11 spot here in WLS have known that we've been on this thing since the beginning. And you know what's amazing, Lauren? That these theatrics and hysterics, and I use that advisedly, but I use it, from Hillary Clinton have been amazing, especially at the beginning when she was all teary up and sucky-uppy.
For me, this is not just a matter of policy. It's personal. I stood next to President Obama as the Marines carried those flag-draped caskets off the plane at Andrews. I put my arms around the mothers and fathers, the sisters and brothers, the sons and daughters, and the wives left alone to raise their children. It has been one of the great honors of my life to lead the men and women of the State Department and USAID.
Was it also the great honor of your life to watch as Susan Rice came out and told the United Nations and everyone else in the world a lie? That it wasn't, that the Benghazi attacks were promoted by some ridiculous video, and now we know it wasn't the case. It never was the case. All it was about covering up for Obama because he had just killed bin Laden and he was parading his figurative head around the country after the Democratic National Convention. And so they had to pretend that it was about Islam or
the
video
prophet,
or something.
Killing, and then they came out and said, well, the CIA or the FBI, they kept going back and forth, had told them to leave out terrorism and Al-Qaeda from the report.
Look, let's not lose focus. I'm not talking about you, Lauren. I mean just me. I'm talking about myself here. The President of the United States. Sir, did you know? Where were you? Did you know that those SEALs were on the roof, sir? When did you decide to let them die, sir? When did you let them sit there and shoot their little pea shooters? All they had were handguns at the end, and they were calling in airstrikes, and you didn't send them, sir. And meanwhile, instead of that, you know what we have? We have Hillary Clinton fighting back like a maniac, like some psycho.
We were misled that there were supposedly protests, and then something sprang out of that, an assault sprang out of that. And that was easily ascertained that was not the fact.
But
and the American people could have known that within days, and they didn't know that.
With all due respect, The fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make?
Here's what difference it makes. What difference it makes is Ambassador Stevens had been asking for protection after the consulate got bombed on June 6th.
Right.
They knew there was an imminent threat. They had been asking for support. It makes a difference, Mrs. Clinton. And I saw her. She gets emotional. She was there with the families. I believe she was sympathetic towards those families that just lost lives. But this is your job.
She was also sympathetic to the women that her husband chewed up and threw out.
That's true.
And he used to look at him the way he looked at Kelly Clarkson, the little girl singing the national anthem or whatever, and he was checking out her butt. I'm so sick of these people, the Clintons. The President Clinton should have been kicked out of office for having a pizza date in the Oval Office while he was on the phone with a congressman and being serviced by Miss Lewinsky, and he's on the phone with Sonny Callahan talking about sending American soldiers to war. And anybody who sucks up to them and lets them off the hook is not my friend.
We got a lot of people
Al
calling
in the
John.
car. I'm so angry, Al. What's going
John,
on? Hey.
You know, let's face it. Early on, what they pointed to was the budget. We're not spending enough money on defense. But, you know, you've hit on a couple of points. One, preceding this event, information had been offered by the ambassador that al-Qaeda was active in the area, that there was a threat. And I will tell you, you've seen that compound. Boy Scouts could have overrun that compound. Nothing was done to protect these people prior to this event, and there was no response at the time the event was occurring. And we know they had real-time view of what was going on. So lay this at her doorstep, but lay this at the doorstep of the chief executive of the United States. Blood is on his hands.
Thanks, Al. Sean in Elmwood Park, we're coming to you now. Sean, are you there?
Yes, I am. You know, John, I can't see it, so I need you to help me. Is that fat slob Harvey Weinstein off to the side yelling cut and print? Because that's what's going on here. Meryl Streep better be nervous that Hillary doesn't bump her out. Because
does Hillary wear Prada? Yeah.
That's what they do. It's the righteous indignation. This is what she did. Do you remember with the husband getting caught with Monica?
Stand by her man.
It was a right-wing conspiracy. It was the furthest thing from the truth. She did it when she screwed those old people out of their life savings in Whitewater. She did it again during Cattlegate. Listen, she can get used to the hot seat, and it's not because of that over-padded derriere she has. She doesn't crack under the pressure.
All right.
The Duchess of Chafington is going to pull this one off.
Thanks, Sean. Listen, Sean reminds me of something, Lauren. When all the other stuff was going on years ago, she put a fake Southern accent on, this lifelong Yankee fan from Park Ridge. Mm-hmm. And she said, when turtles go on a fence post, when you see a turtle on top of a fence post, you know it didn't get it there. Whatever. Shut up, Hillary. Okay? I'm sick of these lying people.
Do you remember the TV ad she ran when she was running against Obama? And the TV ad
the 3 o'clock in the morning
was basically,
call.
Are you ready to make a decision?
Yeah, I am ready to make a decision, and my decision is I better shut up before I get us both in trouble. This is John Cass with Lauren Cohn, back with more of your calls and texts. But first, Ryan Burrows at Traffic and Weather. You have pizza with an intern, and she's doing what she's doing while you're on the phone, and you're talking about sending people to war, American soldiers to war. And half of this country, including 98.9% of the suck-ups in my business, kiss his butt and protect him. And now we've got Hillary wears Prada. Listen, let's take some calls, okay? Mike in Schaumburg, you're on.
Hi. You know, there's 4 names that I'll never forget. They are Stevens, Smith, Woods, and Doherty. 4 great Americans who were left spinning in the wind by our government, our chief executive, our State Department, who didn't go and protect those people, even though they had a chance and a legal and moral obligation to do so.
We don't know what the mission was. And I know I have... I'm sorry, I lost you. I don't know what the mission was, but we do know that they were there. I'm not going to ask about the mission. I don't think that if it's national security, it has to stay that way. I just think that Mr. Stevens was left to die, and so were those others.
And she just testified that she said she did not see requests for additional security to protect the Benghazi mission.
Because they didn't want her to see it, or she didn't want to see it? You're the boss. Guess what? I didn't get a request that my leg man, old school, had a couple important points to make yesterday before I wrote the column on the lady with the gun. What if I said that? People would say, John, that's your column. You're responsible. Madam Secretary, you're responsible. But you know who's really responsible? President of the United States. He left those men to die on the roof, and he said nothing about it. Rich and Lombard, you're right here. 89
Hey, good morning, you
WLS.
two. How you doing over there?
What's up? Am I getting worked up too much? Sorry, man.
No. You're right on schedule. I like it, but check the blood pressure regularly. I don't want you to go overboard.
I'll have some bacon right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, good.
That's a good way to start the day.
Okay.
Listen, they didn't send these guys over there to back them up. They didn't do an investigation for how many days because they couldn't quote unquote secure the area and get CIA and FBI and what have you in there to to investigate what happened. But a CNN reporter can waltz right on the compound and get this guy's journal and talk about how the request he made that there was embassies in the area getting attacked on a regular basis, and that they were one of the most unprotected ones, and that they could use some more guards, they could use some more barricades, they could use some more. How does that happen? That's a direct reflection on what's going. You guys are talking about with Hillary Clinton.
I'll tell you something.
Yeah, and she said she got no requests.
She said, no request she didn't read the stuff about they need security, but...
The CNN reporter turned in the journal, and they were quoting line by line what this guy was saying, a timeline, dates and times. It's just a direct reflection on what's going on out there. Tap dancing, they're trying to duck the issue, and it smells like a handful of you-know-what. You know what I mean?
Thanks, Rick. The issue is that the President of the United States sent out Susan Rice to lie to us, saying it was all about a video, to cover his butt.
Don't mention terrorism and Al-Qaeda.
And don't mention the fact that for hours those young men were up there on the rooftop asking their country to help them, and they let them die there. Lynn and Glen Ellen, you got a minute, quickly.
Well, you can bet the takeaway quotes tonight on all the TV shows are going to be Hillary choking back tears, and she will come out as the victim, not the ambassador or those other people that died. She will be listed as the victim. And I wish the media had as much interest in this story as they had in Tail.
Well,
we're talking about it.
We do, and I've written about it in the Tribune.
But you're the good guys. I'm talking about 257. The nationwide media will have Hillary as the victim tonight of the mean Republicans asking her these uncomfortable questions. And when she talked about meeting with the families, she did not talk about the fact that she told that one father, "We'll get that guy who made that video."
Right, and he's still in jail, but the guys who killed the Americans are not there.
Here's another.
We have to go, and we'll be back right after this. John Cass, Lauren Cohn, more of your calls, 591-8900 on 89 WLS.
Break, John.
Thanks.
When you want Chicago's classic hits, turn to 94.7 WLS. For traffic and weather info, tune in to 890 AM WLS for traffic and weather first on the fives when you need it most.
Jimi Hendrix, through Bob Dylan, to Lauren Cohn and John Cass, 89 WLS.
Look at this, John. She's saying we did not do a good job explaining we did not have... we didn't have all the facts. You know what? Then don't release a statement. If you don't have a clear picture, that's what she said.
Yeah, well...
Then don't release...
This is important. What we're talking about, everybody, if you're just joining us, is the Hillary Clinton show in the White House, in Congress. She's testifying. She's got the hipster glasses on. She's doing that whole Meryl Streep thing. I think she's wearing
crying.
Prada. She's got to be wearing Prada. And it's important for Chicago because if she can survive this, put your political hats on, she survives this, she's going to run for president. And guess who's going to be her running mate? Little Rumpelstiltskin, my friend, the Romfather, 2016. I wrote about it long time ago, and people said I was crazy. 2016, Romfather, Vice President, Hillary, President, and the Romfather brings in all the Hollywood stars from his brother Ari. You watch Entourage, right?
Right.
And they roll, because Don't people care what Kim Kardashian has to say? She's the arbiter.
And then they rerun the famous TV ad. Can you make decisions at 3:00 in the morning when everything's going crazy?
What do you think, Lauren?
I think it's going to be a powerful ticket if they do it. The Republicans better get down to business.
Yeah, I don't know what the Republicans.
Come up with a challenger. Listen to this quote.
They got to turn their tails are still on fire. Last time Obama lit them, and I don't know.
Listen to this quote.
Yeah.
She says this morning, nobody's more committed to getting this right. I'm determined to leave the State Department, and that's the key here, and our country safer, stronger, more secure. She's leaving.
This is all about an exit and image, and the 4 men of Benghazi are still dead with no answers. This is John Cass, Lauren Cohn, 89 WLS. Text us to 68683 on the Townstone Financial text line. Call us 591-8900. We'll be back after this.
See what we're talking about at WLSAM.com. Plus, get the latest from the Weather Channel, on-demand traffic, photo and video galleries, and more. Everything you need is at WLSAM.com.